of a man, still water. Closer I get to you. If it's all the same to you, baby. All we know.
Some musicians don't even start their careers until their 30s. But Donny Hathaway was different. He left behind a massive legacy, despite dying at just 33. He lived a life so clean that the only scandal of his life became his death. Some say he unalived himself, some claim it was an accident. But what was the story of Donny Hathaway? He wasn't just a singer or a pianist. Donny Hathaway was a producer, a composer, and above all, an R&B legend. Born back in October 1st, 1945 in Chicago, Illinois, to Drusilla Huntley and Hosea Brown, Donny didn't have the smoothest start in life. His parents split shortly after he was born. He ended up being raised by his mom and his grandmother, Martha Pitts, who just so happened to be a gospel music legend. So it was no surprise that from a young age, Donny grew up around music. He started singing in the church choir at Trinity Baptist Church and even tried his hand at the piano. His first public performance was How Much I Owe, Love Divine, and that was just the beginning of what would become an iconic music career. After high school, Donny got serious about his craft. He was of the belief, more you study music, better you are. So, he went to Vashon High School in St. Louis, where he got classical piano training. In 1963, he graduated and then snagged a fine arts scholarship to Howard University to study music theory and education. This is where things started to click. Donny Hathaway and Rick Powell crossed paths. They were good friends, good enough that Rick claims he actually taught Donny how to swim. Hathaway was a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, specifically the Beta chapter, which he pledged in 1965. Rick, on the other hand, was an Omega. Before Donny showed up, the Omegas were sweeping the campus songfests. Then Donny took the mic for the Alphas, and they started winning. Outside of Greek life, the duo took that harmony to the next level. Rick and Donny formed the Rick Powell Trio, and were basically living that DC jazz club circuit life. We're talking Bohemian Caverns, Harambe House, Ed Murphy's Supper Club, and Billy Simpson's. And since Donny had that old-school church upbringing, the kind where folks believed if you stepped outside gospel, you might be tempting fate, he grew up hearing about legends like Sam Cooke and Nat King Cole and how they died young. That kind of warning will sit heavy on your shoulders. So Hathaway was cautious, even nervous about branching out, and Rick was constantly reminding him that you're too good to be hiding behind the piano. And thank God he listened, because that push, that little nudge into secular music, it lit the fuse for everything that came after, including this Christmas. He was at Howard University for 3 whole years, performing with the Rick Powell Trio, a jazz group, but then he started getting so many job offers, he just bailed on school in 1967. Soon after, this guy was a songwriter, session musician, and producer at Curtis Mayfield's Curtom Records in Chicago. He was doing arrangements for some huge names like Aretha Franklin, The Impressions, and of course, Curtis Mayfield himself. But Donny wasn't just content making other people sound good. He had dreams of his own. In 1969, Donny decided to put himself out there with his first single, I Thank You Baby, a duet with June Conquest. It was smooth, it was sweet, and it was just the beginning of what was about to come. But here's the thing, he didn't just stop there. Oh no, on the B-side, there was another duet called Just Another Reason. By 1970, he found himself signed to Atco Records, thanks to the legendary producer King Curtis. It was at some trade convention where King Curtis heard something special in Donny, and just like that, Donny was ready to take his career to the next level. That same year, he dropped The Ghetto, Part 1, which he co-wrote with his old buddy Leroy Hudson. The track was a hit, and the next thing you knew, it was on Donny's debut album, Everything Is Everything. He co-produced it and arranged every track. Fast forward a bit to 1971, and Donny's second album, Donny Hathaway, was out. This one was full of covers, pop, soul, gospel, you name it. And then came 1972, when he teamed up with Roberta Flack for the Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway album. Where Is the Love came out of this collaboration, and it not only dominated the R&B charts, but made its way to the top 5 on the pop charts. And the album sold over 1 million copies and went platinum. In 1972, he dropped Live, an album that would go down in history as one of the best live recordings ever. It was recorded at two iconic venues, the Troubadour in Hollywood and the Bitter End in New York. If you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor and press play. The raw emotion, the soul, the energy, it's all there. People still call it one of the best live albums of all time. And honestly, it's hard to disagree. Now let's talk about the Christmas classic we all know and love, This Christmas. Released in 1970, it's been played every holiday season ever since. But Donny Hathaway wasn't just about making music for himself. He was involved in soundtracks, composed for the TV show Maude, and even worked with other artists like Cold Blood. But even with all that success, Donny was still fighting his personal demons. By 1973, he released his final studio album, Extension of a Man. It had tracks like Love, Love, Love and I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know, which reached both the pop and R&B charts. But it was Someday We'll All Be Free that truly showed his soul. It was a ballad with so much emotion. You could feel every word. And Donny said that when he heard the final mix, he couldn't help but cry. Then, in 1978, Donny and Roberta Flack teamed up again for the closer I Get to You from Roberta's album Blue Lights in the Basement. This track went straight to the top of the R&B charts and reached #1, 2 on the Hot 100. But just before his untimely death, Donny's final solo single, You Were Meant for Me, was released. Edward Howard, who wrote the lyrics for that track, said it was a spiritual message for Donny, who had gone through so much. He wanted Donny to be free from his troubles, and I think, in a way, this song helped him find that peace. In 1971, Hathaway was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia at just the age of 25. His doctors prescribed him a lot of medication, 14 different kinds to be exact. And he had to take that many pills twice a day. It was meant to keep him on track, and for a while, it worked. His mental state improved. He started to feel better. And when you're feeling good again, it's easy to think you can just stop taking the meds, right? That's exactly what Hathaway did. His daughter, Eulalia Hathaway, has shared that her dad would often skip out on his prescriptions once he started feeling like himself again. The problem? He wasn't quite as stable as he thought. From 1973 to 1977, things got rough. His mental health spiraled again, and the toll it took on his life was enormous. His career hit a major setback. Hathaway had to be hospitalized multiple times, and things between him and Roberta Flack took a serious hit. Their friendship fell apart. The music stopped. For a while, it looked like that magic duo we all knew and loved was never going to record together again. But this is the part where we get to the redemption arc. 1978 rolled around, and Hathaway and Flack finally patched things up. It was a comeback, no doubt, but Hathaway's journey wasn't easy. His battles with mental health weren't something that could be fixed overnight. And just while everything looked like it would be better again, something terrible happened. On January 13th, 1979, after recording 2 songs with Roberta Flack, Back Together Again and You Are My Heaven, Donny was found dead. He had fallen from the 15th floor window of New York's Essex House Hotel. Police ruled it an unaliving. The room had been locked from the inside, but his friends and family didn't all agree. That night, he hadn't seemed hopeless. He had laughed, joked, and laid down 2 beautiful final tracks. His wife believed it could have been an accident. Hotel windows were opened. And Donny, unwell and off his meds, might have sat on the ledge without realizing the danger. She admitted his condition had reached a dangerous point, but insisted he'd never shown signs of self-harm. Whatever happened that night, what remains is the grief of a life cut short. He was only 33, but Hathaway's legacy wasn't just in the music. He left behind 2 daughters with his wife, Eulalia. Their daughters, Eulalia Donnell, aka Lala, and Kenya Cancelebra Hathaway, both went on to become successful singers in their own right. There was also another daughter, Donita Hathaway, from a different relationship. His life moved through gospel choirs, university dorm rooms, smoky jazz clubs, and Grammy stages. He created music that reached deep into the Black American experience, its hope, its heartbreak, and its resistance. Donny Hathaway's net worth at the time of his death is unknown, but to give some context, his daughter Lala Hathaway, who's also a successful musician, has a net worth of around $10 million as of 2024. While it doesn't reflect Donny's wealth directly, it shows the kind of success that runs in the family. In the decades since his death, his songs have lived on. This Christmas, a track recorded years before his passing, became a permanent holiday fixture. Artists across generations, Destiny's Child, Chris Brown, Usher, The Temptations have all covered it, but none can touch the original.